2048. It's 2048 words long. That equates to about 13 minutes. So if you don't like poetry, you've got time to get a pint. Make sure you come back after 30 minutes to see these guys who are going to be doing some noise behind me. They're Syndromet. Literally travelled from Sweden to be here, so... just quick bit of content warning before we start. This does involve references to Dick and Dom from Children's BBC. Some of you will know Dick and Dom's oeuvre. If you don't, their primary contribution to culture was the game Bogies. Yeah, which involves player 1 says bogies, player 2 says bogies slightly louder, continues in perpetuity and somebody cannot say bogies any louder. That's all you need to know. The year is 2048 and I am attempting to pound the beach in weary fury, like Charlton Heston at the end of Planet of the Apes. But the beach is now submerged under 2 feet of seawater, and all I have achieved is to have accidentally punched one of the world's last 2 remaining dolphins to death. I am kneeling within the gaze of the Statue of Liberty, which has been redesigned to bear the face of President Bezos. The resculpting work was done for free, although nobody could quite explain how that happened. Something to do with economics. The crown and the torch remain. The tabula ensata is now a Kindle because everything is now a Kindle. The year is 2048. The statue rests on a plinth engraved with all the instances in which freedom of speech was used to own libtards. Sadly, nobody can read the plinth anymore because it's underwater unless they're a dolphin. It turned out that dolphins were able to read. That's why we killed them. They'd been interfering with elections via social media, harvesting clicks. Dolphin joke. The year is 2048. In almost the 30 years since we last spoke, the level of the ocean has risen. And the rate at which the level of the ocean is rising has accelerated, and life has continued much as usual. But to recap, people were powerless to prevent the growth in support for far-right politics, as every time anyone asked anyone to stop being racist or sexist or ableist or homophobic, they were told, well, that's not very liberal, telling me what I can and can't do. The liberals, caught in the clutches of this paradox, each in turn mumbled an apology and, in their confusion, accidentally joined a centrist breakaway movement that turned out to be the political equivalent of the search engine Bing. Everyone remained certain that debt and deficit were very important to everyday well-being, although, like Dick and Dom, nobody was sure which was which or what they do. Bogies. It turned out we weren't living within our means because we weren't all living bogies. It turned out we were not all in it together because we weren't all there anymore. Bogies, it turned out it wasn't a big society because society was about 100,000 people smaller than it had been before. Bogies! After years of research, the Institute for Arboreal Economics never quite determined if money trees derive their nutrition from magic or from refusing to allow corporations to choose their own rate of tax. The only opposition to the far right was the newly confirmed Labour government of 2024. But tragically, 48 of their MPs all decided to head into the woods and commit suicide on the same day. And the result of by-election led to a coalition government taking control, comprising a party set up by the Sun that you could join by collecting vouchers, and the centrist breakaway party who had forgotten that they existed. In 2027, Charlton Heston was shot dead by an intruder, and the gun he had been carrying at the time of his death was stolen by the killer in what was considered to be a victory for liberty. From my cold, dead bogies, in 2028, the public's willingness to believe anything written on the side of mass transit vehicles hit the megabus business after a misprinted coach caused a tabloid to claim that the company was run by the Mugabes. That's an exact anagram. Before running the story, there was some deliberation at the newspaper's office as to whether he was one of the good dictators or not. A quick call to Lockheed Martin confirmed no sign of Robert's name on their loyalty card database, and so outrage was given the go-ahead. In 2029, the NHS was sold to JCB's new healthcare business. Critics pointed out that the company had no ambulances or hospitals, but public concern was assuaged by Boris Johnson burbling something about Dunkirk spirit. Jacobs Rees-Mogg commented that he thought it was rather uplifting that people were now attempting hysterectomies at home using a kit from Boots. Boots was granted exclusive UK rights to hysterectomies by the government in exchange for agreeing to pay tax. Richard Branson sued the government for not being given the UHS. They settled out of court, with Branson receiving settlement terms of everyone in Virginster, formerly Leicester, which was run as a feudal system, with Lord Branson accepting families' eldest daughters or youngest organs as payment for amenities such as virgin water, virgin electricity, and virgin green. Virgin green is people. The year is 2048 and Richard Branson is still alive. Impossibly, horrifically alive. And that no part of his body is the original anymore. No part of that jiggling black market meat marionette is the self he grew. Although every single organ and hair and piece of freshly pressed and folded skin is harvested, grafted, taken from donors in exchange for virgin dollars, it all lives and breathes and has a fucking great time, and you, conversely, are dead. The year is 2048. It turned out it was impossible to blow up a plane using containers of more than 100 millilitres. It was just so shops on the other side of security could charge more for water and sun cream, and airports could increase their rent, and everyone was very angry about this for a day or so. And then they forgot and nothing changed. It turned out missing a week of primary school wasn't enough to permanently affect a pupil's education. That a generation without perfect colouring in skills wasn't key to a healthy future economy. The fines were just so airlines and resorts could jack up the prices during school holidays. Apparently, several members of the cabinet had been receiving donations from Thomas Cook, and everyone was very angry about this for a day or so, and then they forgot. and nothing changed. Someone suggested that lobbying was essentially legalised corruption, but they were called out as undemocratic and anti-free speech and repeatedly called a libtard. It turned out that bad people were being reincarnated as good people as punishment. So they'd have to watch on with Cassandra-like dream paralysis as idiots and gobshites destroyed the world around them. And it turned out that good people were being reincarnated as idiots and gobshites so they could luxuriate in their own ego-powered ignorance as the world collapsed around them, loudly yet somehow unnoticed or unacknowledged. Everyone was very angry about that for a day or so, and then they forgot and nothing changed. The year is 2048. If a tree falls in a forest of idiots, does anyone notice? Lapel du vide has never sounded more appealing. If ignorance is bliss, come worship at the church of Farage. Everything ended up with an LCD clock display on it. Literally everything. I bought a limited edition bottle of Fanta from a newsagent's with a clock display embedded in the label. People thought it was a bomb. It's hard not to look cool when people think you're drinking a bomb. Then the same devices started telling us the news and our heart rates. In 2022, the must-have Christmas gift was a toilet roll holder that could tell you the latest updates from Love Island and how long you've been wiping your bum for, and whether that was long enough according to the Royal London Bum Wiping Institute, sponsored by Anthrax and the Daily Mail, who coincidentally ran an exclusive piece on the dangers of not wiping your bum at least 50 minutes a day. So we switched everything off to avoid the clamour, avoided hearing what was going on. So we mindfulness colouring book that we couldn't do because we missed colouring in week at school. So we mindfulness bottle of wine. So we mindfulness read a poem about someone else's problems. Awareness flew too close to the sun at some point during evolution. So we retreated behind the fourth wall again, faced the back of the stage and closed our eyes and reclaimed our thoughtlessness, lived only in the present moment, which proved a pretty prescient decision since most people only had about 25 years left to live. Reverted to animalistic instincts, relied on fear for guidance. And all this time when we were meant to be scared of immigrants or Islam or militant vegans or militant transsexuals or not wiping our bum for long enough, there was finally a surefire way of making everyone terrified. The world setting on fire and the literal end of humanity. And it got dismissed as fake news. Why wasn't climate change weaponized and blamed on wokeness or feminazis or libtards? Nobody was scared, so nobody cared, and when rebellion came, it was ignored. Bogies! When those stylized hourglass watermarks started to appear on my friends' phones, millions of versions all lit up, I assumed it was something to do with Fortnite or preventing identity theft. The year is 2048. The only people with the means to survive, of course, were the ones who caused the problems in the first place. And so it came to pass, like removing a tumour and putting the wrong heart in the hospital bin. Though it's not to say that it's not hilarious that there is nobody left alive, but the beef-faced, pork-bellied, chicken-livered leaders squeezing out of their bunker hatches like larvae from a cocoon, having witnessed the apocalypse from a safe distance and, in response, metamorphose into exactly the same thing they were before. Spending their last days on Earth squabbling over who officially is in charge and therefore who should go and find food or water, wondering why Deliveroo isn't fucking working. For fuck's sake, I knew I shouldn't have let you meddle, Vladimir. Don't blame me, it was the dolphins. Does anybody know how trees work? I'm sure I've heard there are bits you can eat. Humanity always needed a punchline, and here we are. Some people just want to watch the world burn. It's not enough just to watch, you have to join in. Bogies. The year is 2048. The dodos rebelled against extinction. But the tabloids ran a campaign claiming they were a menace to children, so they were rounded up and shot. Quite right too. The quackers tried to rebel against extinction. What's a quagga? It's like an old school zebra with a non-stripy half. They're all dead now. The two breeds of quagga, the quaggers who hadn't been to university and the quaggers who had been to university, some of whom earned slightly more, which equated to exactly the same amount after their monthly student loan repayments, were convinced by Quagga, Jeremy Kyle, and by headlines about literally one Quagga trying to claim discrimination on behalf of an avocado, that they were far too different to ever unify around a mutual concern, such as not being killed. The cows were deemed too useful to be killed off and were instead granted eternal servitude. Their extinction rebellion was to try and fart a hole in the ozone layer big enough to exterminate their human captors, and it worked. Why did nobody blame the cows for climate change? Why were there no reports decrying the radicalization carried out by extremist cow preacher Abu Beefster? Because climate change isn't real and beef is delicious. You can't reason with maniacal avarice. You just drive it over ground. You can't reason with a man with a gun. That's why they've got a gun. It turned out the class genocide of the 2010s was just a warm-up for planetary genocide. Warm up! Lol! Everything's underwater! The year is 2048, and I am attempting to pound the beach in weary fury like Charlton Heston at the end of Planet of the Apes. But the beach is now submerged under 2 feet of seawater. A green plastic recycling bin floats by, Inside is the world's last remaining dolphin. He swam into it, but apparently can't swim backwards to get out again, and is now stuck in a bin. Oi, mate! You're supposed to be able to read, aren't you? That says recycling only. You're not recyclable. Get in your own bin. The end. Please watch Syndromet.